Alright guys, welcome back to the Shlog. It's Morgan coming to you from Highland Cycles. The angriest man is actually probably maybe a little angry because he just cleaned the carburetor on the KX250F and now the float bowl gasket's leaking, so he may have to take it back off. That's enough to make anyone angry, especially this guy. Because when you're at that level of anger all the time and then something like that happens, it could get bad. So anyway, welcome back to another week, guys. I hope you have watched and enjoyed the video about the Death March. That was a ridiculous situation with all the snow, trees down, craziness. It ended up being a lot shorter than we planned on. But if you haven't checked it out, I'll put a card right up here. Check out that video. It was awesome, tons of fun, definitely deathy and marchy, and just when we thought it was kind of calming down and being a little less crazy here, it got more crazy. Tons of bikes showed up today. Yeah, everything from that rad 450 XCF that's all street legal. We got a Sherco Trials bike over there we got to work on. I got an FX350, got to put a whole bunch of cool guy parts on. We'll check in on that. Got hopefully the carburetor parts for that DRZ Supermoto over there. Needed a mid-body gasket, and I was hoping we had one, but we didn't, so because there's 3 different ones, which is crazy. So we got the other ones in, so we'll be doing that. And the biggest thing I have to do this week is I gotta get the little PW50 running because the guy who won that last week, Jimmy Stepasnik, is coming to pick it up this Friday. So I gotta get that running, but before I do that, I gotta start with some tires. We've got to knock out a whole bunch of tires here real fast, and we'll get after it, guys. So join us on the Shlog. All right, guys. So I got the little tire done. I'm doing a tire on this Sierra 450X, but I want to show you something else that we're doing. And this is just a good way to check the wear on your chain sprocket. So first of all, taking the paddle tire off, and obviously you can just look at this sprocket and you can see that it's worn, right? So when a sprocket looks like that, it's done. I mean, you can still ride it for a little while. He did. He took it to the sand dunes, hammered down, whatever. It's fine. But when he came back and said, Morgan, you said we need to do a sprocket. I'm like, yeah, we need to do chain and sprockets, not just a sprocket. And he's like, oh, okay. And Cade's a great guy. Like, he trusts me. He's not even worried about it. But I explained to him that when your sprocket starts to look like that, and the front one's starting to kind of hook a little bit too, if you were to just take those off and put sprockets on with this old chain that's worn to that, it will wear out the new sprockets really fast and possibly jack up the chain even more. So you really want to do them all at the same time. But let me show you a quick and dirty way to see if your chain is worn too far. So, taking a look at the chain, you know, the slack here looks good, and you can obviously adjust this slack by moving the wheel backwards and forwards. But if you take a look here, this is what you're looking at. You want to pull back, and you can see, so you can see daylight through there. If you can do that, that means it's worn, right? Worn out. Now, that doesn't have a ton. A lot of chains will have way more than that. And the sprocket might look good, but that shows you how bad the chain is, because this play back here has nothing to do with this play here, because these teeth here and here are gonna, you know, determine this by moving the wheel back and forth, but this is just based on the chain on the sprocket. So anyway, quick thing, that's how you check when people ask me, like, well, I don't know how my chain is. Even if their sprockets look good, you just pull that back off the back of the sprocket. If you can see daylight through it, it's worn. Put a new one on. Obviously, do chain and sprocket at the same time. So yeah, I'm gonna take this tire off, do chain and sprockets, get this thing back ready for dirt instead of sand, and then we'll move on to the next thing. All right, guys. So the 450 I was working on, I ended up not having a front sprocket for it, so waiting on that. But not that that's terribly interesting anyway. But it's over there. Sorry, Cade. We'll get on that here in just a second. But so now, time to get the little PW50 running for Jimmy Stepasnik's daughter. Super stoked to give this thing away. It definitely needs other work, but as I mentioned in the live show, and I'll tell you guys right now, I want to give this away, but I want it to need work. And the reason that is that my boys and I, every bike they've had after their 50, they had a 50 that was new and shiny and cool, whatever. But after that, every bike we've gotten has needed a lot of work. All of them actually, until the KX250, have needed a crankshaft. They've been locked up tight, blown up. 65, 85, 100, the 125, which I finally do have parts are. There you go. Roger Hurd, thank you so much again for that. Finally going to get to that here in the next probably a month or so. Let it get a little cooler and for business to slow down a little bit more before we get onto that. But they've all needed work, and I think it's important for kids to get a bike that needs work and to have to work on it with their dad or their mom. So they build a bond with their parents, which is super duper important, and then also with the bike. You feel like you have some ownership in it, even as a little kid. So I'm going to get it running. Thank you to Kevin O'Loughlin for sponsoring that part of this deal. But it needs steering head bearings. It needs some other stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited for this kid to get this thing. She's going to have a blast on it, and then hopefully she and her dad can work on this thing together and develop that relationship, which I think is super duper important. Spark's good, I'll show you. Lots of spark, that's awesome. Now I'm gonna spray a little brake cleaner into the cylinder and just kick it once and make sure it like starts, like it's got good compression. Yeah. All right, so now I gotta get the carburetor off, clean that thing up. I think this thing's gonna run just fine. All right, guys, so the PW50 project is on hold for just a second. So it's on hold for just a second, hopefully not long. The float in the carburetor was completely jacked up and broken, a little piece like here. So anyway, there's supposed to be a hole through there that the pin goes through, but it was just busted. So anyway, I think I found another one. A guy here in town, he does a bunch of parts. He's got a kind of a junkyard, and he also works on bikes too. Guy's name is Marty Humble. Awesome dude. Humble's Vintage Motorcycles. I'll put a link in the description of this video on how to get a hold of Marty, because he does awesome work on vintage bikes, and then he also has just a ton of parts. So I think he's got one. But anyway, I'm working on this DRZ 400 now, and this might be interesting to some of you guys who've wanted to see one. It's got a 4-stroke, new style Lectron carburetor on it. And for anybody who wanted to know what the difference between the 4-stroke and the 2-stroke is, it's not much, but it's got a whole bunch more hoses on it. So I don't know exactly all the differences. I do know whoever was working on this thing unscrewed this. This was supposed to go in there, and it's, I don't even know what it does really. It's like the power jet. So these carbs are interesting. They have a power jet. This tube comes up, goes in here, and then there's that tube inside there. That's the power jet. So as you give it more gas, it draws across that and pulls more gas out of the float bowl. So that's kind of how they do their whole altitude compensating thing. But then it's got this other power jet deal that goes into the side of the carburetor, and it's got vent lines everywhere. Anyway, I don't know. That thing was basically all the way out. I don't know if the guy who owns it now did that, or it was someone before him. I don't know. But so hopefully I can figure this thing out and get it running for the guy. Everything else seems to be okay. The gas is definitely old. So anyway, gonna move on. I will check in with you guys if anything crazy interesting comes up on this. But there you go, 4-stroke Lectron carburetor, awful lot like the 2-stroke. Okay, guys. So Zach has been on a carburetor marathon here for a few bikes. And to be truthful about the whole situation, he's really not winning right now. It's been a bit of a struggle. But this one, at least, is 100% not his problem or fault or problem. But look at this. So, CRF 450X, Actually owned before by my friend Chris Banks. Taken care of. It ran fine, whatever. Everything's good. He sold it because he bought a new shiny KTM. And the guy who's got it now didn't do anything with it, blah, blah. I don't know. Well, anyway, so he's working on it, get the carburetor all cleaned up and all this. And Zach was like, well, yeah, this thing's pretty awesome. Let me show you something. Yeah. Small woodland animals put that there. I'm sure. So that's awesome. So hopefully when he gets done with this thing, it actually runs and there's not a mouse actually inside the thing. I have 2 stories of mice slash squirrels slash I don't really know what they were because they didn't come out in whole pieces from inside of motors. I will tell you guys those stories later. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I got some ripping story times about dead things in engines that were not dead when the motor probably started. So anyway, it's awesome. That's unfortunate. So yeah, hopefully it's all good and there's no mouse inside there. I am finishing up on the DRZ with the Lectron. I had the Lectron off, cleaned it, all that good stuff. I don't really know what the setting is supposed to be on this screw because this is not a screw that's on the 2-stroke carburetor. So I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to play with that, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to fire this thing up and see how it runs. Hopefully everything's good. I can adjust that screw and we can move on to the next project. So guys, let me show you something here. It's something I don't love about Lectron carburetors. I have one on my YZ. It runs fine and all that, but one of the things that is a struggle with Lectrons or any aftermarket carburetor is getting them to fit correctly in between these 2 boots. So they don't work, right? They're not the same, and so they make little adapters and all this stuff, but they still don't fit quite as well, and the boot doesn't come over. And so anyway, it's one of the things I don't love about trying to switch up carburetors on anything. But I think I got the boots on far enough and tight enough that they shouldn't leak air. Let's see if this thing runs. Alright guys, so this DRZ just got interesting. So you guys saw it run. I was fiddling with this screw here, which I believe is kind of like a pilot circuit. And I opened it up a little bit, and I got it to where it was idling pretty good, and I opened it up a little bit more to see if it needed more gas, and it died. So, okay, whatever. So I closed it back up, tried to start it. It hasn't started since. It's been kind of trying to backfire a little bit when I hold it wide open. I sprayed brake cleaner directly into the air box, held it open, won't do it. Put a new spark plug in it, checked the spark, it's sparking bright blue. Held it wide open, nothing. Took the spark plug back out, put brake cleaner down directly into the motor, and nothing. So I have a feeling this is the second now DRZ 400 that we've had in here that needs a top end. So I'm going to check the compression and then probably give this guy a call. It's just crazy. Like, these things don't break. Now I've got 2 broken ones in here, so. That's not enough. Even with an automatic decompression, that's not enough. The question is, why did it run for a little bit, like, pretty decent? Probably the answer is that there's some oil built up or something like that. I think this thing has been sitting for quite a long time, and it could be just that the rings collapsed or something. I don't know, but either way, the motor needs to come apart to figure out what's going on. So we'll give this guy a call and see what he wants to do. Yeah, it's crazy. 2 broken DRC 400s. Not normal. Oh, by the way, angry guy over there is about to get really mad. because that won't start. It won't even do anything. And he is so stoked on this situation. So I might go buy more batteries and SD cards for this camera so I can just set it and aim it at him all day and see what happens, because it could be exciting. Alright guys, so I talked to the guy. He wants to take it apart, but that's not just oil. That is a whole lot of gasoline in the oil. I took the valve cover off. Everything's all shiny and happy, but it smelled like gas. So I took it apart. I don't know what that is. Rubber. And so yeah, I figured I'd drain it. And that could be why it's not making compression. It's got a whole bunch of gas running through the thing. The rings won't seal. So I'm going to start by draining the oil, putting the oil in it, and go from there. And it could be that the carburetor just super duper leaked forever anyway. So yeah, we'll give this thing a shot and maybe we'll get this thing running. That'd be cool. That is so good. All right, guys, we got the DRZ all sorted out. So turns out that the giant amount of fuel in the motor was definitely what was making it not want to start and have really low compression because the rings weren't sealing. So got that all sorted out, and I figured out what this screw does. So that guy, so that's the idle screw up there, like on most Lectrons. This guy has a tube that goes over here into the float bowl, kind of like the power jet tube that's up high. Anyway, that little thing is a pilot circuit, which most Lectrons don't have. They just have the metering rod goes into the hole, and then that main hole, which would be where a main jet would be, but anyway, it doesn't have a main jet, meters the fuel even when the slide's closed. But on 4-strokes, you need a separate pilot circuit, really, for them to work very well. And I knew that, and I knew that they had done some big changes for the 4-stroke carbs, because they were just putting the 2-stroke carbs on the 4-strokes, and they were working okay, but not great. Anyway, so I figured that out. I actually didn't call them. I just started fiddling with it, and ended up tuning it. Runs really good now, so I'm really happy with that. Mr. Sheets, his anger has subsided just a tiny bit because he did get the DRZ Supermoto working good. He is still, you'll notice that there's this Honda still sitting here. Sad. Sad. It's super sad over there. But we don't know what's going on. It might have an electrical problem. But he moved on. He's putting fork seals in the KX250 that we put the kickstart on, so that'll be done soon. Now I am going to film some review stuff about my KTM Daisy that I'm not going to include in the Shlog here because it would make it way too long. So I'm going to be filming that. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see the review of the Mako 360 bar mounts from XC Gear. Also the rear tire that I ran. I didn't really talk much about that thing, but I got a lot to say about that. That was pretty awesome. And then the 300 kit, now that it's got an actual beating on it. So I'm going to take care of that right now, and then we'll get on to the next job here soon. All right, guys. The next thing on the lift is a Sherco 2.9. I don't even know what that is. It's a 290, I believe, so it's like a 300 anyway. Trials bike. It's from France, so it's weird. It likes snails and things like that, I'm quite sure. And it doesn't run right, so we are going through it. I was just discussing with Zach how much I don't love working on trials bikes, and it's not because I don't like trials bikes. I think trials bikes are awesome and really cool, really good for your skill and all that stuff. But because the companies who make them are so tiny, they're weird, right? And you can't get parts just easily. They come with Delorto carburetors. So that's awesome because no one has Delorto jets near us, at least. I mean, probably bigger cities with bigger dealerships might have some Delorto stuff, but yeah. So anyway, that's where we are right now. and I'm going to try to make this thing run better. Right now, it doesn't seem to want to get up on the pipe. It's got no power, so I'm pretty sure the carburetor's gnarly. It's been sitting. That's the other thing about trials bikes is they generally just sit quite a bit. Zach over there is less angry than me because he's not having to work on the trials bike. His birthday is tomorrow, though. We're going to celebrate that here on the Shlog, so be ready for the massive party that's going to happen. It's going to be sweet. He may have some anger welled up in him because he just replaced a tire on a tubeless system. I don't know how much he enjoys that. I know it's not my favorite thing, but he's got to do the front too, so that's awesome. But it's actually a pretty sweet bike that we're working on. It's FX350. Mr. Glenn Anderson just bought it from a guy in, I don't know where he was. Anyway, somewhere east of here. And we're doing some cool things to it. Just basic stuff for the mountains. Putting radiator guards on it. Putting his tires on it that he likes. Bridgestone X30 in the back and a Shinko 216 up front. Hand guards. I sold him my old flex bars. I just got done filming the review of the Mako 360. And if you're intelligent at all, you're figuring out that since I'm selling the flex bars, I obviously like the Mako 360 better. But yeah, so we got those on there for him at a super duper discount, and I forget what else, but not a whole bunch else. So we're gonna get it all dialed in and run for the guy, and he'll be ready to rock and roll. So yeah, I'm gonna go work on this trials bike, see if I can't get it figured out, see if I can't get it running good. I'll check in with you if I get anything super interesting. All right, guys, you'll notice Zach is over here working on his motorcycle, and that's because Zach did this to his brake pads. See those little dots? Yeah, you're not ever supposed to see that. That's one side, and there's the other side. You can kind of see the dots on that one too. So it just goes to show you that the angriest man is always angry, even at his own motorcycle. Look at him.
Follows the death march.
He's blaming the death march. But we started, I think it was like still like 9 o'clock in the morning when he looked at it. He goes, whoa, my brake pads are gone. And we're like, was it noon? I don't know. Anyway, it was still early in the day, and there's no way there was much pad on those when he started. So he'll be taking care of that. Got it running good. And the Snap-on guy's here. Stealing money. There he is.
Pay me some money. Come on.
If you guys have a shop or you're working a shop and you deal with one of these yahoos, comment below how many thousands of dollars they've stolen from you over the years.
We love our Snap-on guys. That's what the comment's going to say.
Driving me nuts. Driving me nuts. I think I do owe him money, unfortunately, so I got to go deal with that right now. All right, guys, so we have super rad stuff going on here. So we have a KX250 of some year, I don't know, whatever, newer one-ish, fuel injected, and it won't even do it with the cylinder off. And look at the cylinder. It's missing a part. Look how happy it makes Zach. Yes! The only thing that makes him happy is the broken stuff. And oh, it's down in there somewhere. Oh, it is so in there. Like swimwear. Oh, man. So, yeah. There we go. Let's look at some broken things. Brokey. Brokey. Yeah. Yeah. Haha. Carnage is awesome. It's sad for the customer. For sure. And we'll cry tears later, but that is pretty awesome to see. So, yeah, that motor's going to come out. I'm going to split the cases because we got to figure out if the cases are okay. If that's busted, and he was, by the customers admitting, he was hard on the gas going up a hill, and then bang, it stopped. So I believe that. I believe that's exactly what happened. So yeah, we're gonna pop this thing out of here, and we'll split the cases and see what's up. It's definitely way super duper broken, so that's awesome. Okay guys, so I don't think we actually need to take the motor out of the frame because Zach is holding. Happy birthday, Zach. Happy birthday. By the way, today is Zach's 32nd birthday, and for that he gets this awesome trophy. Look at that. Dude. How does that even... Thanks, Kawasaki. So the thing is, that's not the first one of those I've seen from a KX 4-stroke. I'm just surprised it didn't come out into the outside world. They do that sometimes. So I believe that this motorcycle just became a paperweight for this gentleman. I don't think we're going to fix this because I'm sure the cases are damaged. Well, anyway, we looked at it in there. You can see that they've got at least nicks in them. That's best case scenario, but probably they're worse than that. And yeah, that's unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. So hard to say exactly what happened. There was definitely oil in it. It's really super disgusting and not much. So that could be part of it. But yeah, I'm gonna go make a phone call. It's gonna be sad. But happy birthday, Zach. Alright guys, it's the end of another week here at Highland Cycles. End of the Shlog. We're packing them up. Got lots of bikes in here, as always, lots of work to do. But look, it's Eric.
Hey.
Eric's back. He's putting his KX250 back together.
All my broken bones are better.
Finally, he broke a bunch of stuff, crashing his motorcycle behind a 10-year-old. And we got it all back together. That's awesome. We haven't seen him in forever because he's been healing and working too hard. Mr. Sheets finally cleaned his motorcycle up. And yeah, I'm stoked, guys. Awesome week. Thanks for joining us for the Shlog. You know what I'm going to say. I hope you get out, you spread the gospel of two wheels, and I desperately hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!